Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Be Like Christ. I want to answer a question today that I get quite often in my email inbox, and I don't know if I'll answer it in a way that's satisfactory to most people, but I'll answer it. So the question that I get often is, hey, why don't you have a statement of belief on your website? Or can you send me a statement of belief or a statement of faith? And I think most of you probably know what this is, but if you don't, most Christian organizations or churches or ministries, they draft up a statement of faith, and it's basically a high-level bullet point summary of the key beliefs and doctrines that they hold to. And this helps to kind of separate them, distinguish them, place them in a camp on the Christian perspective as to the doctrines, the key tenets that they hold to that are often like non-negotiables for their church and what you have to affirm, to believe, to be a part of their church or be in fellowship with them or something like that. And let me begin by saying I understand why these exist. I understand that they are there are some cases a necessary expedient. Sometimes you don't have months to have conversations and vet a church or an organization that maybe you want to work with, or maybe you're just a person and you want to know if you should attend a church in a new town that you move to. Statements of faith can be really helpful, but I don't have one. And in this video, I want to talk to you about two reasons for that. One's kind of personal and one's more of a danger that I see that has popped up because this expedient has become so popular. Okay, so the first one, a personal reason, is that I still very much feel like I am in the student category rather than in the statement of faith drafting category. And this kind of hit me when I was going through the Gospels in our verse-by-verse study. We were doing those long studies through the Gospels a few years ago, and especially in Matthew, where the Old Testament is quoted so much, I began to think, man, am I in a position to teach this? Because I was looking back and I was like, there's some books in the Old Testament that I'm not sure I've ever really even done a high-level study of those books. I'm not even sure I could tell you what's really in those books. Do I have any business teaching a book like Matthew, where Jesus so often refers back to the Old Testament? And obviously, Jesus is building on what came before in the Old Covenant. And my thought was, I would really like to go back and do a comprehensive study of the Old Testament before I start going into the New Testament. And so that's kind of what I did. I went back, and that's the inspiration behind the 5-minute studies. And the way I look at those is you and I together are students through those books, getting our head wrapped around them, in some cases for the first time in a meaningful way. And certainly for me, the first time studying them for myself and not just, in a Bible class or somebody else teaching through them. And one thing I think would be a mistake, kind of a cart before the horse situation, is to go drafting doctrinal statements before you've actually studied all of the source material, right? I mean, that's weird if you think about it. Why are people who have never studied the Bible drafting up hard-line doctrinal statements about who goes to heaven, who's in fellowship with the Lord and who's not, and who should be withdrawn from, who should be avoided? There's all kinds of people in our world, sadly, which are writing up statements like that, creed statements, statements of faith, doctrinal beliefs, and they really haven't even taken a hard look at the Bible for themselves and done the study. And to me, it's like, I'm not doing that, at least. So for me, there may come a day when I get to the point where I feel like I can do that. But as of now, I'm not doing that. That seems unwise. The truth is, a lot of people are drafting these statements by just going with the traditional beliefs that have been passed down through their family. Or maybe they're just copying and pasting the doctrinal statements of their church and saying, okay, now I'm adopting this because, I come from this church and I'm going to obviously agree with them. The problem with that is what? It's that, hey, look, there's all kinds of Christian denominations who believe all kinds of contradictory things. We're not all right on all of those things. And so it's very dangerous to start just saying, oh, I'm just going to adopt whatever my traditional church belief is on this, and now that's going to be my identity as a Christian and my ministry or my new church that I'm planting. We're just going to align with what these guys have already said. we have to do the study for ourselves to figure out if we are one of the groups or individuals who are in error in comparison to the other groups who affirm very different things than we do. And if you don't do that study yourself, why are you writing one anyway? Number 2. While I think there is a benefit and an expedient in having these statements of faith, I think they've also been used to the detriment of some people. And the detriment is that it keeps people in echo chambers. Sometimes they use these and abuse these to keep themselves in their own echo chamber, only ever hearing from people who already believe the things that they already affirm. And as we mentioned, that's dangerous because we're not all right. And not all beliefs are in line with the scriptures. So I don't mean to throw any shade on anyone who's ever sent me an email like this, but I have gotten emails that read essentially this. Hi, I found your ministry. It seems great. You seem like you really respect the authority of the Bible and present the scriptures accurately. But before I go any further, I want you to send me your statement of faith because I don't want to invest any more time into your teaching if you don't align with what I believe and with the statement of faith of my church. Now, what are those people essentially saying? Hey, you seem like you're doing a really good job, but I don't want to listen to you unless you already agree with what I believe. If you don't believe what I believe, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I mean, I hope that when we present it that way, we see the danger in that. And this happens all the time. And I know because probably weekly, I get some email or some message saying this exact same thing. So here's my encouragement to you. Please don't keep yourself in an echo chamber of only listening to people who already believe what you believe, because once again, not everyone is right, and you may be in a camp where not everything is right, and you want to get out of that, and you want to discover the biblical truth on that thing that you could potentially be wrong about, and then you want to change based on that. And the only way that you're ever going to hear a new perspective or a text presented in a way that might be contradictory to what you already believe is getting out of that echo chamber and hearing other teachers and other perspectives. And also, you may listen to somebody who is like 90% wrong on a topic, but maybe they have a detail here or there because of their background, because of the way that they're looking at the text. They have a detail that will enrich your study, and that while you can't agree with them on everything, they may have something to offer you maybe in one category. This happened to me the other day. I was listening to a lecture from a guy who's like a Hebrew roots movement guy, which I'm not in that camp, not by a long shot. But he had a perspective on one of the patriarchs that I'd never quite looked at it that way before. And even though I disagreed with like 95% of this lecture, there's a couple details in there that I took, and I was like, that was good. I think that's faithful. I think that's a good addition to kind of the way that I've already been looking at the text anyways. But you're never going to get those, again, if you're only listening to people who are in your echo chamber, who are all listening only to one another and presenting the scriptures only in the same way as everybody else because they're only listening to these same people. Like, you're not going to get any new perspective, and you're never going to be challenged. And God knows some of us need to be challenged on what we believe because we believe things that are contradictory to one another. And the Bible is leading us to one unified truth. We've got to get there. How do we do that? Well, it's by reading the scriptures, first of all, but it's also finding people who may not agree with us on everything, but who appear to be faithful to the text and to respect the text, and who can guide us through it and give us those new perspectives. So on this channel, here's my commitment to you, and this has always been my commitment. I'm not beholden to any church, to any doctrine, to any theology, soteriology, eschatology, ecclesiology. I'm not beholden to any of that. I'm beholden to the scriptures. And I think those are the teachers that we need to find. I'll be a part of whatever church matches the description that I find in the scriptures. If that means I need to leave the church that I'm in currently, or reform that church, or to deny one of the things that they believe, that's fine. That's fine. I'll do that because I'm interested in following the pattern that we find in the Bible. And I think that should be everyone's attitude. Don't go looking for somebody who already affirms what you believe. Find somebody who presents the Bible faithfully so that you can believe what the Bible teaches. And there's a lot of people who are honest with the text, and I'd encourage you to go find them. On this channel, I can tell you this. I don't take my salary from a church. I don't take support from a particular church. And so that is a great freedom to me in that I don't have to say everything that perfectly aligns with one church, one denomination, one group of elders that only wants me to teach, a particular subject in a particular way. I don't have to do any of that. God's given me the freedom to be able to present it as I see it to be true, no matter who that offends. And so that's what hopefully you're going to be getting from me on this channel. And if you want to continue studying on this channel, we can try to do that together. But again, there's tons of people who are honest, who are good guides through the scriptures, and this isn't the only channel, certainly. If you're looking for a statement of faith as to, to vet me and what I teach here, this is what I would tell you. You should probably go looking for another channel or give up on that idea. I think that would be best. Don't vet teachers based on their agreement with your statement of faith. Find a teacher who's committed to the scriptures. Let the scriptures be your creed and your statement of faith, and go wherever they lead you to. If you just want that quick snapshot of what I believe as to whether to discount me or not, maybe this isn't the place for you. This is a place where we're going to spend, this 5-minute study is going to take us 3-4 years. That's fine. Bible study doesn't need to be quick. We don't need to be forming our doctrinal beliefs in a week or a month, or just based on what our church tells us to believe, or what our pastor or our preacher or our priest tells us to believe. We need to do the Bible study, and that's going to take some time. So this is a channel for people who want to spend the time in the Word to understand it for themselves, reading that source material, and then to be able to come to mature, formed beliefs based on personal study and the guidance of other good guides. That's not quick. I realize it's not the TikTok version of Bible study and coming to doctrinal conclusions. We're not doing that. We're going to take our time and study it out and figure out the truth. And if that's what you're into, this is a channel for you. Okay, so that's our video for today. Rambled a little bit. Sorry about that. But it is something that I feel like is so important. And that is the reason that I don't have a statement of belief on my website, and why I don't send it to you if you ask me for it. So hate me for it or appreciate it, that's fine with me. I'm sure there can probably be some good discussion in the comments. Some people will be defending statements of belief. And again, there's value in them. But let me know your thoughts on that. And let me know your thoughts on echo chambers within churches, and what your thoughts are on those. Because it's always a balance, right? You have a new Christian. You want to give them a strong foundation in biblical knowledge. You're going to want to send them to people that believe things similar to you, that you believe are trustworthy, right? But at the same time, there has to be a point in their Christian walk when they get out of the echo chamber and start challenging their beliefs. And there's all kinds of debate about when that should happen, or maybe some people think it should never happen. I heard some people say that, but there's got to be a balance there between laying a good foundation and then also hearing from other perspectives. Because again, we're not all right about everything. And on some things, some of us are not seeking out biblical truth as hard as we should. Okay, that's the end of this video. Goodbye.